class, this is Mr. Mills, and what I want to do is to take just a couple of minutes to explain to you how we're going to use Google Classroom to structure all of our lessons and materials for the course of the year. I'm using Google Classroom in a different manner than I have before, so I wanted to take a little bit of time and explain to you how it's going to be set up, so when you get started with the work, you'll know exactly where everything is. Well, first of all, I want to say welcome to all of my Algebra 2 students, whether you're learning with us via distance or if you're in the face-to-face class. Both of you will see this video. And then also for my other students, we're going to use the same model in all of my other classes as well. So if you look at this and say, well, I'm not in Algebra 2, don't worry, because the setup is going to be the same for your class also. The first thing I want you to see here is looking at the stream. Previously, I've put all the assignments where as soon as I post an assignment, it shows up in the stream. I am not doing that this year. What you will see here in the stream will simply be announcements for that particular week. Okay, and I'll put those up typically at the beginning of the week, and then sometimes I might make announcements on a daily basis if something important is coming up. But where you're going to find your assignments is under the tab called Classwork. So there are 4 things I want you to notice here in particular, 4 topics that are listed here. And this is the model of the setup that we're going to use for the course of the year. The first thing is the sponge or do now topic. You're going to have a daily assignment every day. This is being recorded on Juneteenth, June the 19th. So you see it says sponge do now assignment for 6/19/2020. So you'll click on that. It'll be a 5 or 6 minute assignment. You'll go ahead and do that, submit that. Every day you're going to see that. Now, tomorrow, soon we were in class setup, you would see 6:20. You wouldn't see 2 assignments here. You'd only see 1. So where's that assignment for 6/19? What happens if I was absent? Well, let's look at it this way. We have another topic at the bottom called archive sponges. So you notice here it says the sponge or do now assignment for 6/18. So every day I'll be moving the sponges down to this tab at the bottom so we can try to get rid of clutter. So if you're absent, that's where you will find the assignment, or otherwise you'll know where it is. But each day there'll only be 1 assignment here for sponge and do now. The next thing that we'll have is the unit that we're working on. So our first unit in Algebra 2 is complex numbers. So the way we have it numbered here, you'll see introduction to I. The way we're going to label all of our content is U1, L, and then whatever lesson is. U1 stands for Unit 1. L1 still stands for Lesson 1. So you have Lesson 1, Lesson 2, so on and so forth. Now for each one of your lessons, now let's look at this from a student view. So you notice here all of the materials up there, and then when you click on it, what you're going to see here for Unit 1, L1 is going to be a Google slide. So there's a copy. You'll see your name on it. It's going to make a copy for you for each one of the lessons. But what I want to point out there is you're going to see on one of those sheets very quickly, either the second sheet or the third, all of your tasks for that lesson. You'll be asked to watch a short video for that lesson. We'll have some questions embedded, and then complete the guided notes. So those will be hyperlinked. You'll have practice problems for that lesson that you'll click here. And then when you've done all of that, we'll have a couple of questions for you to do for a mastery check, because we're grading and assessing you for mastery. We really want you to learn the content, and we don't want you to move on if you have not mastered it. Now, so once we have that piece, then you would simply go down to the next lesson. Notice it's U1, L2. Same thing would apply. All the lessons are required. Notice another heading that we have under here says Extension 1. Now the extensions are recommended, but they're not required. So we'll talk about this more when we look at the video for grading. But for our extension problems, those are things to kind of stretch you, to give you some extra content. A lot of times it'll show you applications or things that you need to know. But it's not something that's going to be directly on the test or the project. So if you get behind your extensions, we'll talk about that on a one-on-one basis. Those may be some of those that you skip trying to get caught up if you miss some days or something happens where you get behind. what is required, the next thing here is what's called a retrieval practice. Now, a retrieval practice is going to be a short review of some of the content that we've covered, typically between 5 and 10 problems. And the idea is to see how much you remember, for you to do as much of it as you can without looking at your book or notes. And then finally, the other thing that we have listed here under the unit is our Unit 1 test or Unit 1 project. Some units you'll have both. Some units you'll have one or the other. So to say that really quickly again, all of your lessons are required, your retrieval practices are required, and your tests or projects are required. But your extensions are recommended but not required. The other thing I want to show you very quickly is right under the units will be something for resources. There are two things I want to point out here in the resources tab or the resources topic. You'll have a graphing calculator for you to use while you're working on the problems. So if you're not physically in the building with us, it'll be a graphing calculator that you can access to do all the work that you need to do. And the second thing is a progress tracker. I'll be updating the progress tracker every day, so you can pull it up and see if you're on pace with the suggested pace, if you're ahead of pace, working ahead and accelerated, or if you're a little bit behind the pace, so you'll know you'll need to work a little harder. And remember, we just said at the very end was the archive sponges or the sponges that have already gone past. So this is just a short video to show you how our Google Classroom is going to be set up this year. I look forward to hearing any questions that you have, and I look forward to a great year in math.